What is going on, everyone? My name is Northy, and opening round has been completed. 4 games. We have officially started the AFL season, and we haven't even done round 1 yet. So I am really into the feeling of it now. I loved all of the games. I think a lot to look at and to be excited for. Apparently the Giants are now favourites for the premiership. Richmond are now in the toilet. Melbourne will probably never make it to straight sets at this point. And Brisbane was taken out in a way that I don't think anyone ever expected. Harry Mackay with his straight drop punt kicks. Barely ever seen before, but here we are. But of course the most important part about AFL opening round is my Teamcoach scores. So without further ado, let's go have a look at how we did this week. And here we go. We've got everything ready to go. I realized from last time that I made this video, when I did the preview, everything was skewed to the side. So it looked a bit awkward, but we've got it all here right now. So first thing, we didn't get a prize card. I wish we did, and I will go through how I feel about it, but yeah, unfortunately, no prize card this week. That's okay. We'll be all right. We've got everyone next week to hopefully work with, so we'll get a lot more of a varied result. And I say that in a way because everything looked really close. Everyone's scores kind of felt familiar. Let's first off have a look at our stat powers team. So this is what we had going in. First 3 actually weren't too bad. Nick Dacos, good pick here. Wasn't the best. Josh Kelly actually ended up being the best one in the mighty section. But Josh Kelly was only 6 ahead of Nick, so I can work with that. That's okay. Midfield bull, definitely could have gone with someone better. However, I didn't expect Matt Rowell to be that better. And Tom Green, I could have maybe expected. But I have this thing where I hate picking the same team multiple times. Apparently, I didn't listen to it in terms of Isaac Quaynor, but GWS, should have picked both of them. Tom Green with 116 and Whitfield smashing it, 137. Easily the best for the defensive dynamo section. Very happy with that pick for sure. This one though, not so happy. I tell you what, I didn't think that Lockie Ash was going to be the best one. That's absolutely the case. But could have gone with Tom as he was the ruckman. Could have gone with Cam Rayner. He was just getting a lot more in the forward line and working around the midfield and a half forward. But Lockie Ash ended up being the best one. Surprising. I did not expect it, but we'll keep it in mind for the future, definitely. There's a few here though that next week coming, definitely going to think about picking them in and putting them in, with Nick Martin especially. I feel like Nick is the best chance at blowing up with this next coming week. However, I'm definitely going to keep an eye out on Ash, see whether he keeps playing at that level. Jason Horne-Francis will probably have some pretty decent games as well, so we'll have a look at both and see how they keep going. And then just the tough one, the toughest probably one of the entire opening round, Sam Doherty out for this season with another ACL. It looks so inconspicuous. I thought he just had a small hit in his knee, because you could see he knew something was up when he was injured. He was trying to almost stretch it out like it was just a strain. So he kept running, kept moving, played out the rest of the half, and then was subbed off. I can probably guess that's the reason he was subbed off, the ACL injury, but they probably saw something that the rest of us couldn't, obviously, as we aren't experts in this stuff. It's just such unfortunate news, man. Sam is a absolute, he's one of my favorite people. I say people because he's not just a great player, but just a stand-up human who's gone through so much. He's had a run with cancer, his 3rd ACL. Now, it's just heartbreaking. It really is. So I really hope Sam can recover and come back next year. But that could be so demotivating for anybody. Such a legend, and I really hope I see him recover soon. Outside of that, the best one ended up being Dane Zorko at 105 points. That's pretty good. I didn't expect it. I think the 2 goals definitely helped him, and especially the 7 marks, because he only had 19 posies, only 19 possessions. So I didn't expect a 105 performance from him. Probably could have gone with Max Gawn and may go with him now that Doherty's out for quite some time. Pendlebury could be a potential choice as well, depending on who he's up against, but because Collingwood probably rely on all the others around them a lot more now, Pendles doesn't need to do as much. You can see only the 18 posies. He only got to 70 because of his 8 marks. So 74 points, it's respectable, but I feel like there's definitely some better ones. And Max Gawn, that was a poor game for his standards. So 87 is pretty good for a poor game. So I'm definitely going to keep him in mind for future ones. But with Silver, we ended with rank 80 with only 441 points. I say only, but it's only showing the top 5 at the moment. You can see people within the top have probably picked a few different things here and there as their they're not the same, but they're very, very similar. So you can imagine there's fairly similar picks. I'd imagine people would have picked Dacos or Kelly instead of Dacos. Could have been some of the picks. You would have seen a Matt Rowell or a Tom Green even. Probably Lockie Whitfield for a lot of those top guys. But these guys would have been... Well, I'd imagine a lot of them would have picked Ash. A lot of them would have had to have picked Ash, which is a strange pick. But Zorko as well, probably being the best lineup. As you can see, there's not many people to pick from in some sections. Like this only has, what, 6 available people who could be picked? So it's alright, but... it's alright. I'm not going to say much more. And you can see here, the only difference between Silver and Ultra is that the double points went to Dacos, Petraka, and Doherty, unfortunately. Unfortunately for us, that was the case, but Whitfield could have taken the double. That would have been alright. Blakey's one to look out for in case Whitfield may have an injury at some point, which I pray not. I just want to see him do well. I want to see everyone do as well as they possibly can. Chad Warner also did better technically, but only by a point, so I'm not going to stress much about that. Yeah, and overall, this Ultra ended up giving us rank 89, so a little bit higher, unfortunately, but you can see the top 10, everyone had at least 829 points. So I'd say around 800 to 750 was the top 20, which I believe is the range for a prize card in Star Powers. So we'll see. I'll have a quick look at the homepage because it does show it there. Top team in Star Powers, Teamcoach announcement. It says here top 10 for Silver and top 20 for Ultra. Get a shot at a Star Powers prize card, and then top 10 for 4 and top 20 for 18 for the Star Powers, or not the Star Powers, the top 10 game mode. Speaking of top 10 game mode, we're going to go over there and have a look. There was some good and some bad here. So Maxi Gorn, probably not bad. You can see he's second, but Brody Grundy, his opponent and previous teammate, outplayed him very convincingly. It did look a little rough to start, but Brody lit it up in the fourth quarter for sure. Just seemed to hold on for longer throughout the game, and Brody Grundy, 23 disposals, 4 marks, and 33 hitouts. That is a really good performance, so expect a lot of people to put Grundy in, but I would also like to mention Tim English is coming in next week, and Tim English remains one of my favourite picks for top 4. Midfielders, Clayton Oliver wasn't a terrible pick, but there were definitely betters. Could have gone with Kelly. Now I think about it, I should have gone with Kelly. I feel like Josh Kelly would have been the best pick for me. I just didn't expect Viney to put that out there, but we'll definitely keep it in mind for later. Nick Dacos, also not a bad pick. Whitfield ended up taking it, but can't go wrong with the Dacos pick. And then Charlie Curnow ended up being pretty good, but I mentioned it in the live stream on Saturday that I did. Isaac Heaney, oh, not Saturday, Friday for the Carlton-Brisbane game. I'm so glad I had Heaney in my A team because holy, Heaney was absolutely a winner. 121. What a way to start the season, man. Lots of goals, lots of possessions. Oh, I say lots of goals. He only kicked 1, but getting around the ball. That's an interesting thing to point out. May mean a lot of people are going to chuck him in. At this rate, I feel like he's my go-to pick right now because I don't imagine anyone else outside of him being someone I would pick up unless there is someone hiding in here that I think would be better, but I may just go with Heaney next week and hold it out. So we'll see how it goes. Yeah, looking through all of that, Heaney is my go-to pick, I think, for next week. Top 4, though, gave us rank 47. Like I said, though, needs to be top 10 for a prize card in this game mode, so did not get one, unfortunately. You can see top 5 was over 425, so everyone would have had to be over 100 to at least get that. So, unfortunately, not a winner. But top 18 is where we get closest, and it's usually the case every year that this is the one I get the closest for. Some unfortunate picks. First off, Baker and Doherty in the back line. Obviously, for Doherty, it's understandable. Went out with injury. He played really well in the time he was on the field, but didn't work out. Look at the others though. Whitfield, Dacos, and Will Powell. I am so proud of myself for that pick. That was a great pick. I can't believe I picked that one out. Will looked solid. He looked so good all game. And the more I saw him play, I'm like, wow. After that horrific injury he had, that is a really, really good statement game for him, especially against Richmond in a big game for the coach. That is really solid. Boston even did pretty well. Probably the only Richmond player who seems to know what he was doing out there at times, but Boston had a pretty full-on game, did really well, better than his consistent points per game last year, so pretty happy with the backline overall, just some unfortunate circumstances, as well as Liam Baker. He had a poor game, so That's okay, but go to midfield. A few things to point out. Dunkley was a pretty good pick. Josh Kelly, thankfully, I'd put him in my 18. Some other things, though, did kind of annoy me. You can see, both my Melbournes did pretty average. Not the greatest. Need a pick up there. Errol Gulden had a surprisingly poor game. Well, I say poor game. His team won. He did his role, played quite well, did what he needed to do. 20 posies, 2 marks, 2 tackles, though, is just not very Errol Gulden-like. So I'm going to keep him in a second time and hope that he bounces back. I'm just interested to see if anyone throughout these teams who haven't played yet could maybe take a spot from someone here. Like Bont could probably take a spot away from either Gulden or Oliver/Petrarca, one of the Melbourne boys, because I don't feel positive having both of these guys in at the same time when Bont could easily take a spot. And then Kelly is also available for the poor game every now and then, but he does play North next week. I need to keep that in mind. GWS may be a popular pick for a lot of people's sides, but forward line is probably where things got the most stressful. Like I mentioned though, we did get Heaney, which was a good pick. Mackay ended up being the 3rd best pick. Didn't think that would be the case. I thought Kono would outplay him. He ended up kicking more goals than Mackay, but Mackay managed to get around the ground a bit more, even though Kono had to go on the back line at some point because of how far back they were on Brisbane. But he ended up playing an alright game. If he had more possession of the ball, maybe I could have gotten more from him, but you can see more marks, more posies make up for that one less goal by 10 points. So it's unfortunate, but it's alright. Jamie Elliott, he looked a bit rough to start, but picked it back up to just below his average. Joe Danaher, he looked like he could have done a lot more. Like, he felt a lot more in the game in the first half, but I guess it was just the story of the game. Brisbane felt so much more like a really good side in the first half and then let it all go in the second half. So, kind of makes sense that Danaher didn't pick it up and didn't get his usual average. Shea looked to be a good day for him. Kicked the first goal for the team. Looked like he was going to get involved. Only that 8 disposals though, man. I think he was put in the midfield at some point and he only got 48. And then surprisingly, Toby Green, with such a great game for GWS, he only scored 40 points. He was the 2nd worst player. That is really surprising. Really surprising. And I'm really upset by that because I think I actually picked him over Hogan, who ended up being up towards the top. Really, really unfortunate circumstance there, but there's a few things that I'm looking at here that I'm keeping my eye out on, like the Tommy Papley game. I may have to try and look out for him more, considering both the Sydney forwards, or most of the Sydney forwards, other than Logan McDonald, seem to be getting a lot more hold of the ball. 20 posies from Papley, 26 from Heaney. These smaller guys are getting their hands on the ball a bit more. So I may have to keep that in check and keep my eye out for that. But there are definitely some forwards here. Like Langford can have some good games. Stringer can too. Jeremy Cameron and Hawkins, you can't go past them. Brian Myers is a forward, so I may have to put him in. But forward can be one of the hardest positions to pick up, man, because there will be times where just randoms will have the best games. You either have to guess it, pick it out, or get really, really lucky. So this is a tough ask this year. Thankfully, I got number 1 for the forward line, but unfortunately, it didn't carry me over the line. You see 27, 1,489. You can see number 10 is not even that far off my score, but I was 7 spots off getting a prize card for the top 18 game mode. Very, very frustrating. I really wish I had managed to just get those little picks. Like if I got 30 points from somewhere, like that Hogan instead of Green pick here, or if I just picked someone other than Baker from what it looks like, then we would have been all right. But it's just the way it goes sometimes. I think I have to put in Blakey this year because Blakey has shown a lot of continuous improvement. Definitely looks like a solid player for them going forward, but also my eyes out for other players like Adam Sard. He had a pretty underperforming game than he usually does, so maybe have to look out for him. Will Day and Sicily are coming back, so Sicily may be a pick that we all try and go for. I'm not sure, but just something small here or there to get us over the mark will be the big positive for the year. So it's just unfortunate when you miss out on the first one because it's your best opportunity and you get a go at all of these prize cards. Where are they? All of these prize cards. I can guarantee you already probably 30 people have picked up a Nick Dacos card. So next week, I wouldn't be surprised if they're already all gone. Next week or the week after, because Dacos will be picked up so quickly, so quickly. So hopefully we can get one next week in the top team game mode and we won't have to worry about it anymore. So I've just got to be quick, I got to be on it, and I got to make sure that next week we don't make those mistakes again. But last thing, of course, tips. Oh, tips were rough last week. I don't think it's going to show me last week's tips because for some reason it's just not working. But round 0, I had definitely gotten the Brisbane one wrong, got the Collingwood one wrong. I think I got the Gold Coast one right, which was good. Gold Coast ended up taking out Richmond, but I'm pretty sure I also got the Sydney one wrong. So 1 out of 4, definitely disappointing. This is what it's looking like next week. Like I mentioned, this is where I'm going to look and kind of see, all right, put certain players in, put certain players out. Like I'm going to probably have a lot of power players in, going to have a lot of Giants players in, maybe even a lot of Carlton because of how Richmond have been playing to start. But all I know is this Collingwood-Sydney game is going to be very interesting too. We'll have to just look out and see. It's going to be a fun week ahead. Footy season is in full swing again, baby. But that is all for this week. So once again, if you enjoyed this video and want to see more, be sure to leave a like, subscribe to the channel if you are new. Let me know how you did this week if you managed to pick up a prize card, and I will try and copy you. But no, seriously, I appreciate you all very, very much. Thank you all so much for tuning in, and I'll see you all in the next one. Goodbye.